Joining us now is a man who's just as handsome as Riley Green, Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah.
Woo. Good to see you, Dano. Thank you for joining us. Got your Playboy.
What's going on?
What is the? You always wear these bunny. What is?
Bod bunny?
Psycho Bunny.
The hell's that?
That's lit, dude. That's super lit.
Thank you.
What is that? That's a brand?
It's a clothing company.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, dude. It looks super cool.
Psychos, man.
Can you show that again? You see the crossbones at the bottom?
Yeah, that's not very appropriate.
No, because it's a killer bunny.
Yeah, that's not very appropriate.
Well, it's got rabies, actually. This bunny's got rabies. It'll come and get you. That's why it's a killer. All right, Dan, let's talk about being a killer. Brock Purdy turning the ball over, potentially a killer. Instead, they still win and cover. Please tell me the Carolina Panthers could have won that game. And also, please tell me if the San Francisco 49ers, with how they are, obviously a lot of missing pieces, can go win the Super Bowl. Because B.A. said no, D-Butt said no, Ty said no, Tone said no. Connor's the only one who said maybe. And I think the reason is we saw the Rams play, and then we see the Niners play. Rams seemingly on a different planet than everybody else in the NFC at this exact moment. Niners, can they keep up? And what do you think about Brock going forward?
Yeah, Rams not on a different planet than everybody else. I would be absolutely shocked if the NFC rep isn't LA, Seattle, or Philly. And more than likely one of those NFC West teams. I do not think that San Francisco can win the Super Bowl. I just don't think they have enough healthy bodies on defense in their front seven. So, Brock, I would tell you that if you look at the interceptions and why they happen, Brock has always been a player in his first couple years that you marveled at how early he threw the football, yet down the field. He had this almost like unrealistic anticipation where you're sitting there going, how can you cut that ball early or cut that ball from your hands so early down the field and still have it placed perfectly? The interceptions this season are far too often late. The anticipation is gone, and there's guys that don't have to play with a ton of anticipation. I heard Coach talk about this. Stafford's one of them. Josh was certainly one early in his career. Patrick, because they've got these cannons for arms. Brock doesn't, and so he was playing at such a high level because he played so fast, and the ball came out of his hands so much sooner than the route kind of established itself. Look, these clips, they're all 3 hitches. This offense is not built on 3 hitch throws. Coach knows this as well as any. This offense is not built on 3 hitch throws. You get to the top of your drop, that ball's out of your hands. And if it's not, watch how many hitches he takes here. 1, 2, 3, 3.5, and then it's late. So, am I concerned? Well, yes, because that was the strength of his game. But also at the same time, it's something that he's shown. That's not necessarily who he is. And it's absolutely correctable.
Okay, and now the Carolina Panthers. They had a huge night ahead of them potentially. They would have took the lead in the NFC South. Now, granted, they're 6-6. They were 6-5 going in. Nobody could have expected this from the Carolina Panthers. We've actually been following along pretty closely, strictly because we've kind of dogged the Panthers in the past. So, Panthers fans, which there are still some. Remember, just a couple years ago, there was 500 fans in the stands for their final game. It felt like it was the worst, obviously the biggest dumpster fire in the entire league is what Carolina felt like. Then they bring in Morgan. They bring in Canales. Tepper kind of goes a little bit more hands-off, but also starts giving back to the community and kind of understanding his position. We've become big fans of this Panthers team. We've also become big fans of Bryce Young. They get all those turnovers. They can't make anything happen out of it. We saw T-Mac score a touchdown. I'm happy the Irish Goose got a chance to say hello to the primetime audience and score a touchdown. But what do we think about the Carolina Panthers? Or what do you think about Bryce Young, where he's at right now, and maybe what the next couple steps look like for that team?
Yeah, number one, last night, the perimeter players did not match the physicality out of San Francisco. And that's really the story of the game. They didn't I heard Boston Connor talk about Dowdle only had 6 carries. I think they had 40 snaps. They were terrible on third down. But if you watch the third downs, I don't see there's a lot of protection problem. I don't see there's a lot of schematic problem. They just physically got out-toughed at the perimeter when it comes to ball downfield, middle of the route, physicality at the top of a route to win. So they just did not match that from San Francisco. The reality is this game came down to 2 plays for Carolina. The pick down on the 1-yard line, inexcusable. Bryce has to see that defender.
First and goal, Dan. Yeah. First and goal.
I'm shocked he threw it. I'm shocked. That's just a backside defender for for some reason Bryce doesn't see him. He doesn't threaten the line. Just run, Bryce. Run. Threaten. You're one-on-one with the defensive tackle out in space. And so I'm floored that he throws that football. I cannot defend. Just run. If he runs there, he's got a guy out in front. He's got an offensive lineman out in front. Just scream, go, 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 go. See that guy's waiting for him because he doesn't want to go downfield. Just scream, go. So can't make that throw. And then there's a 3rd and 4. Down, I think it's the second quarter. It's 3rd and goal from the 4-yard line. San Francisco shows all-out pressure. He throws it to the perimeter, and it's one-on-one on the perimeter, and San Francisco makes the tackle. I didn't love that play call because what are we doing versus 0? We're just going to throw a swing screen, especially with there's no pick. There's no traffic for that backer to run through. And you can't, obviously, 1-yard line interception, 3rd and goal. I'd love to see a ball go to Tet McMillan or T-Mac in that situation. So I'm disappointed with the lack of physicality by the perimeter players. Xavier Legette, he's got to earn the right to be on the field more. Jalen Coker, who I believe is an undrafted player, should not be playing more than Xavier Legette, but they are because he's just not meeting what is expected out of him.
Legette's had a couple good weeks, though.
Yeah.
Let's like earlier in the year, it was pretty bad. It was like this guy's not a 1 or this guy is nowhere near a 1. Then he had a couple big time weeks. Obviously had a catch last night, I think, on the sideline and some other stuff. But to your point, he's not prevalent enough. Like I don't think any of us we all talk about Irish Goose down there. Whenever we're talking about who the wide receiver is, we think about T-Mac, the kid out of Arizona, who's former volleyball player. Some of his volleyball highlights are absurd. But they talk about him athletically just being a freak, and his catch radius is gigantic. Yeah. Nobody even really talks about Legette other than how sweet his accent is and that he eats squirrels.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Right? That is kind of the conversation.
Yeah, and I'd also say this, Pat. You know, his game has to be physicality. He's not a burner. He's a big, thick, talented, structurally sound dude. You should be a physical presence at the wide receiver position. If you watch San Francisco, to both those guys, just push them around. Ted fought back a little bit. I did not feel that from Xavier Legette. And so I'm walking away. If I'm Carolina, I'm disappointed with the way that we played on the perimeter physically because we just did not match San Francisco.
All right, enough about Monday Night Football. Week 12 was awesome. Saw a huge win by Chicago, which obviously in turn is a gigantic loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we saw some shit from Caleb Williams that got us very excited.
We're optimistic about him. I think he's continuing to take those steps. What are your thoughts on Caleb Williams right now and how he's operating in this Ben Johnson offense and how you see it going forward?
The coach will tell you exactly what he thinks of the player by the plays that he calls. And right now the playbook is wide open in Chicago. And that's a total credit certainly to the quarterback. You want to run the football? Great. You want to go hard ball, play action out of the gun? Great. They can get an empty and throw it on the goal line, and he's quick and decisive. I think the biggest thing for me, D-Butt, outside of that, what I'm just talking about is the playbook is so wide open. They put a defensive tackle at fullback the other day and ran the football to him. They're running the football. They're going really good in play action. They're building plays in for the yards after catch. I believe they went double reverse. There's multiple screens. Here's empty on the goal line. But I think the one thing that Caleb has grown the most in the last month in my eyes is if the play is there, quarterback run on 4th down, if the play is there, if the play call is the right one versus the defense, I need you to play on time now. If I design a play and number 1 is open, I need you to be fast. And this throws a perfect example of it. This is we're calling the play for this defense. We get it. I need you to play fast. That's the one I need you to play. Yeah. I need you to play quick on. And so I think that's where his greatest growth is. I would imagine as a coach, if you call play call and you're anticipating something and you get it and the quarterback doesn't do what you're coached to do, I can't imagine how frustrating for a coach that would be. He's not doing that anymore. And that's why I've kind of said he's really gone from a problem solver or a problem creator to a problem solver. He's not really creating problems for himself anymore.
Yesterday, he was problem creating, but creating was what he was drafted upon because he could make magic happen, you know? So then whenever he has that style of offense and then we have the turnover early in Chicago and it doesn't seem to go well, and Ben Johnson's this hard-nosed guy, an accountability-driven guy, and Caleb is exactly who, you know, we've learned Caleb to kind of be. I thought they weren't going to gel. I thought they weren't going to mesh because he's very much a timing guy and just felt like personality-wise and football-wise, this couldn't be a worse fit for each other. And now it seems like they're perfect for each other. And now that Ben Johnson is seemingly building trust in Caleb, he's going to be able to do all the Jared Goff shit with him eventually, but also add Caleb shit in there. Is there like a way for Ben Johnson to add Caleb being Caleb into an offense, or is that all off-script stuff?
Yeah, I think it's more off script, but you'll see situational. You saw the 4th and 1 quarterback play. You could probably do more bootlegs eventually because getting him onto the perimeter, I think you could do a little bit more quarterback run down in the red zone. But the beauty of the offense is we can kind of create so much schematic advantage by the different looks that we can present to you that we can put you in doubt as a defense. And I just need the quarterback to consistently hit that open receiver. Again, that's kind of, for me, where his greatest growth is. And then I agree, I did not think they were going to gel this quickly, and that was my concern. Then, hey, defense wins reps too. They get paid. So if the defense does win the rep, we miss a block, we get covered up, then you can go above and beyond some of those plus plays. That's a beautiful throw. It's on time. Caleb would not make that throw last year. Those past 2 clips that you have shown, Caleb would not make that throw last year. And so I think that right now Ben's very comfortable. And I would say this. This is one of the there's probably 4 offensive lines that I truly trust right now in the NFC on the back stretch making playoff runs. I think Dallas is one. I think LA is one. I absolutely say Chicago's one, which is shocking. I think there's a 4th one. My brain, maybe San Francisco.
There it is.
Yeah. And that's really the key here is Chicago's offensive lines become a strength.
Yeah, and I like that the Colts also in there, you know? Hey, yeah, the Colts offensive line in there. We need to win a big game, but I do like that the offensive line is really the indicator on whether or not you're going to be able to win a Super Bowl. But also championship defenses, I think, too. So, you know, have to have qualifiers in its entirety. Chicago's seemingly always going to have a good defense, even if the offense is the head coach-driven position. So congrats to Caleb and congrats to Ben. The NFC North looks different all of a sudden. All of a sudden, the Bears are for real. Caleb's going to break all their passing records within the next 2 years, okay, for the Chicago Bears history. Okay, for the history of the Chicago Bears. He's going to have all of their records, and they're just getting started. They got another 10 years up and to the right as Caleb and Ben, because he's not going to get plucked away. Ben Johnson's going to be there, so that offense is going to be there. Good news for Caleb on the turnover, potentially stopping unless they completely go to shite, which it doesn't look like. The Lions with Dan Campbell, we assume, are going to be good in this entirety. The Packers, we assume, are going to be
concerned.
What's that?
Lions are concerning. Their offensive line's not good enough right now. Not good enough.
No.
Yeah, no.
Going back to same old Lions?
Are you saying this year or just like in general, you don't know if they're going to be able to find it again? Is it because Ben Johnson was kind of maybe covering up for their offensive line, or is it Noah Ragnow is maybe the big problem with the Detroit Lions offensive line? Is it fixable, or is that just you got to deal with it this season type thing?
Yeah, I mean, the interior of their offensive line is a concern. It's not good enough. They will not win a Super Bowl with the interior of their offensive line playing this way.
Another year, man.
Ragnow's a concern. Yeah, Ragnow's starting to rear its ugly head here. This is what I would say is you have a quarterback that when you protect him, he could throw with anybody. But now the protection has fallen off. I would tell you, I have no idea what the numbers and statistics and analytics. It looks like a bottom 5, bottom 7 pass protecting offensive line.
What?
And no Laporta. Like when Jared got pressured, it was Laporta. Where's Laporta? Where's Laporta? No Laporta with a bad pass protecting offensive line. As much as it kills me to say, I just don't see it for Detroit.
All right, last question here. Let's stay in the NFC North. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Dano, last week before the Vikings played the Packers, you basically said hey, J.J. McCarthy, his mechanics, everything, it's not going to get fixed this year, but, they might be able to actually fix this over the course of the next, off season, and he will develop. After Sunday's game where he just looked like dog shite once again, where do we stand with JJ? And do you think there's a chance that they don't even give him that opportunity and they cut bait before he can actually realize his full potential?
Yeah, I don't think that the latter happens. I mean, this young man just hasn't played football. He's barely practiced football in the last 2 years. I think the biggest concern right now is you are watching paralysis by analysis. I mean, there's clips where he catches the ball in the shotgun, and you can see him walking through drops of trying to think of, what should I do with the football right now? What should I do, let alone what should I do with the football? Meaning, it's almost like he's trying to think of what is the coaching point of a drop or a landmark, or how many steps. I'm counting steps in my head. I'm counting what I should be doing with my left leg and my right leg, or trying to think of what I should be doing with my left leg and my right leg, rather than, okay, this is the defense, this is where I want to try to work, and this is how I can manipulate somebody, or how field coverage. And so this is no, that's not the clip, but there's a clip where you can see him go left leg, right leg, left leg, and it's almost like he's walking through it in a walkthrough type of mannerism. And there's definitely an overthinking right now. I understand it. He's in a stuck place, and it's not a fun place to be as a quarterback. I don't think they give up on him, but because of the lack of performance and the lack of health and availability, there's no question you'll have to bring high-end competition in.
Well, Max Brosmer is certainly going to do that.
Yeah.
This dude's a stud. He can spin it, from what I've been told from the film study we've seen. But that's kind of been the conversation, is that Kevin O'Connell can make anybody good. What's this guy's name? Who cares? Kevin O'Connell's the coach and the offense coordinator. If he can throw a football, he will be a good quarterback. We said, because they were looking for a quarterback, obviously they had moved on from Sam Darnold. Danny Dimes had left the building. Aaron Rodgers allegedly was interested in the job, but they seemingly passed on him, or let him know they were going to pass. We asked Kevin O'Connell what you're looking for, and he said accuracy. So did we think J.J. McCarthy was an accurate passer? Like, what?
Well,
go ahead.
I would say this, Pat. I think one of the things that I certainly did not think about, and Coach could probably speak to it better, is the guys that Kevin's had a ton of success with, it's in part because they've had experience in the NFL. Like, they mechanically have worked through some of the issues that maybe were a problem in their past. Kirk Cousins was a vet. Sam Darnold was a vet. Even some guys like Nick Mullins, who's had to play. He's been around the NFL for 4, 5, 6 years. And so this is, Kevin O'Connell's first time with a very young, and certainly unproven player. And it just feels like the expectation of baseline performance for the coach and the play caller was here, and where the player is really here. So I would probably pinpoint it on a lack of development to the point that is needed.
Injury hurts that, obviously, his rookie year. Big conversation, Coach B.A., the author of a book called The Quarterback Whisperer. That's what he's actually titled. Bruce Arians, 47 years in football, has coached every single quarterback that's basically ever played quarterback, and also every quarterback that has gone into the Hall of Fame, basically. You know quarterbacks inside and out. You know the NFL and the league and how it operates in offense and everything like that inside and out. When you hear about J.J. McCarthy and how it's all going and the stories coming out, his leadership's great. His moxie is great. And then you hear these things like, well, he also calls himself 9 when he's on the field, and he's on demon time, and he's got to control all that type of stuff. What are your thoughts? What would your messaging be to him? And have you ever had an experience like this with a young quarterback that maybe is struggling very, very, very hard early?
Yeah, a couple of times. But, the alter ego thing is it needs to be AP.
What's that?
Accurate passer.
Okay.
Not snot. We don't need snot bubbles and tears.
Okay.
You play quarterback, not linebacker. Okay, we don't need all this
Great
hyped
point.
up bullshit. Because you got the talent. Now, I go back his senior year. What did he throw? 45 passes in fourth quarter his entire senior year.
35.
35. Yeah, I mean that's not NFL ready.
That's scary.
Then you miss your rookie year. All right, so he has had no development as a passer, and like mechanically, you can't think about mechanics in the NFL. You got to be thinking about where the hell am I going with this ball in 2 seconds. All right, this thing's got to go somewhere right there because of this. I don't think he's missing all of that right now. First of all, how the hell do I get back there? How do I read it? Where's it going?
And then also, how do I throw it?
And now he's thinking about how the hell to throw it. So it's like, that's bad combination, brother.
Maybe?
Just relax, get rid of 9. First thing, let's get rid of 9. All right? And let's get JJ in there and play. Yes, you're a hell of a leader, but it's totally different when you're leading Michigan and you're leading the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, the Michigan team could run 50 straight times on basically everybody because of who they had. Minnesota's not going to be able to do that. And they could, I guess.
They tried to.
Yeah, they're going to have to. I don't think it's going to win in the NFL, but Kevin O'Connell's entire offense is based on this guy processing, developing, knowing, and delivering quickly, just like Shanahan's
There's
offense.
some good weapons.
And that's why
Justin Jefferson sitting out there.
Addison.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Hawkinson.
Aaron Jones.
Nailers.
Jordan Mason.
Oh,
Darisaw, paid left tackle.
they would have been the number one seed in the NFC last year. And then they decided, like, hey, this is what we're going to do. So there's a lot of pressure on him to develop, which I could see why he would overthink it. But you're saying we need to get rid of all of that. We got
to wipe that slate clean and just go back to basics. Let's keep it as simple as possible every game where he's not thinking about everything.
Last thought. Go ahead, Dano.
Yeah, I think the thing coming out of school, JJ, my one thing with him was he looks on a play-by-play basis like a player who's trying to be perfect all the time. I know what it says on paper, coach. I will do that perfectly. I will do exactly what the paper says. And I just don't think you can play at that level chasing perfection on a play-by-play basis. I think to Coach's point, like, dude, you just got to go play, man, and stop trying to do everything flawlessly perfect by what the paper says.
Not only on the field, but off the field. Well, you hear his press conferences, you hear the answers he's given, you see the way he acts, his leads. It does feel like he's trying to be a movie character NFL quarterback, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is what I've heard you're supposed to be
Michigan
like.
man.
That's what I heard you're supposed to be like. I think it's good intentions, you know, but I think it's a lot to kind of try to process as opposed to just being you're trying to be. I think you'll be able to figure it out. And I don't like...
Can I ask Coach Aaron the question, man?
It better not be about getting rid of 9, okay? Like BA was saying.
It's about the Eagles. It's about the Eagles.
Okay, here we go.
All right, so here's my complaint about the Eagles, coach. So one of the things I always loved about you, and my thought was you didn't play around in the run game. You're like, I'm just trying to be efficient in my run game, try to continue to be in good down and distances. And oftentimes I was like, here comes duo, here comes duo, here comes duo, underneath center duo. Philly doesn't do it enough. Philly's in the shotgun run drives me nuts. Do you agree with that? Like, can you explain to me in your thought the advantage of running from underneath the center at people with double teams in comparison to running today in the shotgun?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, and you know where the big difference is, Dan? It's in your play action game. When you are under center and you're taking a 7 and maybe time it up to 9-step drop on a bootleg, you can't do that in the shotgun. You know, it's going to be the 5 at the best. So you're usually back there holding the damn ball, waiting for that stuff to go down the field. But the running game, yeah, I'm an under center guy. I'd love to have that tailback behind me. And if the quarterback's injured a little bit, I don't mind the pistol. I put the kids in the pistol back in the 80s when they had sprained ankles, you know. We can still do everything we want to do, go both directions. I agree with you totally on that shotgun running game.
That's hilarious. When you thought of that back in the 80s, you said, this backup quarterback ain't worth a shit. If we can stand you out there, we will do that with pistol, brother. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
we did.
exactly what you
Yes,
said.
we did.
Yeah, without saying it. Dano, we appreciate the hell out of you, man. That's Dan Orlovsky.
Dano.